Yo, what's up guys? My name is JT and we're going to install loads on flat cars right here on Model Railroading Southwest. Don't forget to get $10 off your next order of $50 or more on trains.com. That's trains with a Z. So I have 6 flat cars from Athearn ready to roll. I'm going to show you guys how I install some pipe loads that I got from eBay on there. I'm also going to show you guys how to make those pipe loads look a little more realistic. I also have 2 Walthers center depressed flat cars that I'm going to install some transformers from Walthers as well. I'm going to show you guys how to paint those transformers and how to make them look a little more realistic, and we're going to get those installed on the flat cars and see them go around the layout. So let's check it out. So here I have 2 Walthers SceneMaster transformer loads. They're for the center depressed heavy duty flat cars. They look fairly easy to build. I'm going to build one of them on film for you guys, so I'm going to set that one aside. See, open this up and see what's in it. If you're wondering about the wax paper, it's so that the plastic weld doesn't ruin my surface. Looks fairly easy to build. There's only a few things to really put together. Seems like here are the sides here. Here are the front end and back. Here are the tie downs, and also there's the roof, and here seems to be the bottom of it. So let's go ahead and start cutting these off. Since these aren't so delicate, I'm just going to go ahead and use the nippers to do that. If you guys want to see a really in-depth video on how to build a Walthers model, I have a couple of videos where I show you guys how to do that. One of them is of the concrete plant, and also the other one is of a depot. So go ahead and look in my playlists to see if you like the video or not. So these are fairly easy to cut. Although when I try to cut these ends here, it seemed like I was going to ruin or kink the plastic. So I'm going to use a X-Acto knife to do that. These ones here seem like they'll be okay. You always want to cut the pieces with the flat edge of the nippers towards the part so you don't ruin the actual part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this stuff, and then we'll put this together. So I have everything sanded down and I'm ready to put it all together. So here I have the plastic weld. This is the Plystruck plastic weld. It's a really nice product. I think it works extremely well. So I'm going to line this up with the inside of this. I'm going to use one of the 1, 2, 3 blocks to help me keep it from sliding around while I hold it in the position. And then you just simply run a bead of the plastic weld and hold it there for a moment. So based on the reference photos of the instructions, which are very vague, it seems as though these 4 notches go towards the bottom of the model. So you just want to tuck that in there, slide it up there, and it's fits pretty well. So just go ahead and get some solvent, run a small bead in there, make sure you got plenty. Now it doesn't take a lot. I shouldn't have said plenty because you don't want to soak the whole thing. So you have that portion in there. Now this one goes in. Probably be a good idea to glue the sides in. All you got to do is let that sit there for a moment. Make sure to put a little bit of pressure. Plastic kind of melted there a bit. We can take care of that with a file here in a bit. So once that portion is set, you want to put in the other side. Go ahead and run a bead at the bottom. I'm going to glue on the sides. Pretty nice. This is really starting to take shape. Now, I told you guys to be careful not to put too much solvent, and the reason is, not sure if that's picking it up in the video, but it kind of got squeezed out the sides there, and now it's made the sides of the model kind of look a little rough there. But like I said earlier, you could just use a file those down a bit, and it'll be perfectly fine. Now for the roof of this, goes just like that. Make sure it's seated well, and just carefully run a small bead of the solvent. Now this solvent is super thin, and when you use this solvent, it gets all into the nooks and crevices and gets right in there to make sure that it gets a good bond. Now on the front of the model, like I said, there's a bit, the instructions are very vague, and they could be better, but based off of what I saw, this goes right there. You can see that there's a notch there and a couple of there, and that goes there, and you can see that it fits pretty well. Now I'm just going to get a little bit of plastic weld, put it in there, and a couple on the sides and the bottom. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much done. Now the only thing is, we have to put these tie downs on. Now the only thing about these tie downs is what I would recommend to you, if you're going to use the actual car that these are made for, which are the heavy duty center depressed flat cars from Walthers, you don't want to just put these on willy-nilly, because if you put them on, you might put them at the wrong angle. Now there's little areas where these can hook up to on the car, so you want to get the car to reference where you want to put them on. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that car so we can go ahead and check to see where they go. So here we have the car, and what I was talking about is there's these tie down points here on the car, and these are the tie downs, and when you have to just push it in just a bit there just to get into the hole of the tie down area on the transformer, and then you want to put it up to the car and find out where you want it. So it's going to be in that position, although these are longer than what you would need for this car in general. So it's designed for, multiple cars, that way you can fit it onto anything you want. So what I did was I just put the transformer there, put it into position right in the middle, or right off to the side, but in the middle of the car, and I found out where I wanted it, and then I nipped it with these, and then I cleaned it up with the X-Acto knife. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these all to the same length and make sure I have them in the right position and glue them in. So right now I have them all cut to the correct length. I have the first one at the angle I want it at, so it's going to be right in line with that first tie down. And I've just it's kind of like a press fit, and then you just add a little bit of solvent, just like that. So I have all of them cemented to the transformer, and it's ready to go. So you could just leave it the way it is and install it on your model. It's painted, or it's molded into a gray color. Although I am going to paint this. So let's go ahead and take this outside and see how it goes. Alright, so let's get these painted up. Today's not an optimal day to be painting whatsoever. It's windy and it's cold. Not a great day. So I have this cardboard box sitting on top of this area right here, and I've taped down these transformers with painter's tape so that they don't fly away with the paint or the wind itself. So what I'm using is this Rust-Oleum chalked aged gray paint. This is a very good paint. It works really well with plastic. I use it all the time. Great stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So you want to do a small or a thin layer at first so that you don't create runs or any streaks. Very easy to paint these. Just hit them with a thin layer. You can wait just maybe a few minutes and then you can add the second layer. So after I get these painted up, let's take them inside and we'll install them onto the cars. Alright, so the transformers are all painted up and they look great. Very happy with the outcome. These came out absolutely wonderful. There's nothing like a nice painted model. Now these do come in the appropriately colored plastic, although I highly recommend taking the time to paint them because you could just put them together and then paint them up. It's really easy, as you can see. I showed you in the video earlier. Now I've looked for prototype pictures and I couldn't quite find what I was looking for, but I found these signs and I printed them and I think they look pretty nice. I have a GE logo and also a danger, electrical shock hazard, and a do not hump. Yeah, get your laughs out right now over that sign. So we're gonna go ahead and apply them to this plastic model. So let's see how that turns out. So what I'm gonna use to attach these to the model is this tacky glue. It works really well. I've used it in the past. And since these are not painted on just paper, this is actually a cardstock sort of material. It's not gonna mess up the actual signs because this is kind of like a white glue consistency and it does get a little bit wet. So it'll work pretty well with the cardstock. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use a toothpick and just put that in the glue and get just a very little amount. You don't need that much whatsoever. I'm going to add it to the area that I want to attach the sign. And like I said, I don't want too much because I don't want it coming out the sides, and also I don't want it to get the sign too wet. So the first one I'm going to put on is the GE logo. So I'm just going to put that right there. And there we go. I think it looks pretty nice right there. I'm going to leave it just right there. Now for the danger electrical shock, I'm going to put it right here. Now I made these so that they would be right in the middle of these areas there, but I think they came out a little smaller than I anticipated. But that's the general location where that's gonna be. So I'm gonna remove that for a moment. I'm gonna get some more of that tacky glue. And like I said earlier, just use a very small amount. You don't need a lot whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and place this in the correct position. And there we go. I think it looks pretty nice. The nice thing about the tacky glue is that it dries clear. And you won't see any messes or any problems after you're done. So the transformer load is complete, and I gotta say, it came out pretty sick. Check out these signs. I really do think that it gave it like an over-the-top detail to it that really makes it stand out. I'm really happy the way this came out. So like I said earlier, I have a hard time with commitment, and attaching these loads to this car permanently just doesn't sit right with me. So the way I'm going to overcome that is adding some 3M automotive tape. And the way I'm going to do that is just cut off a couple of strips of the tape. Please be very careful if you're going to cut tape like that. You don't want to cut your fingers. So you just pull them apart and then add them to the bottom of the model. And I am aware that adding this kind of tape is going to raise the load up just a little bit, and it's going to make it look like it's floating. Although I don't really have a big problem with that, being that it's going to be riding on the rails and you're really not going to be able to tell very easily. I'm going to try to take this wrapper off that I'm having a hard time with, so I'm going to do that off camera. Now, after what felt like an eternity trying to get those pieces off the tape, it's ready to go. That's all you need. You don't need too much tape on the bottom of this. If you're like me and want to attach these semi-permanently, this is the way to go. So I'm going to put it right in the middle as best as I can. So I'm going to put it right in between. There's these little divots in the plastic, or in the bottom of the model, and I'm going to put it right in the middle and make sure that it's in the middle of the car and not off to one side, and it is perfect. Just give it a little push down and there we go. It's all set. It being a little off the bottom of the car seems okay, because it's possible that they would have put this load on top of 2x4s or 2x6s, but that is pretty much it, and man, this thing came out great. So let's go ahead and get started on the pipe loads. So this summer I decided to buy 6 of these Athearn 60-foot flat cars. Now, I had the intentions of building a certain type of train, although that didn't pan out so well. So I decided to go a different route. I came across some pictures of a train with gas pipe loads, and I thought, dang, that looks cool. And I thought, I'm going to try to find some so I can put them on the flat cars. Well, I did not find any, and I decided, well, maybe I'll make them myself. But then again, like I said, I don't have the time to build stuff like that right now. Well, I looked on eBay and I came across some 3D printed ones, and also some that really weren't of the caliber that I was looking for. I came across these. These are from HO Scale Junction. These are incredible pipe loads that look really well done. Now, you could tell he put his time and effort into these, and he didn't just slap these together. He put wood planks between the pipes and also some straps to hold them together. These are very good looking pipe loads, and he did a really good job on them. I'm really glad I found them. When I saw the pictures of them, I thought, well, these are really good. But then when I opened up the box, I was like, dang, those pictures did not do justice. So I'll put a link below to these gas pipe loads if you're interested, because these are really good pipe loads, and if you need some, you got to go get them from him. Now, these are very realistic, but I think I can make them just look a little bit more realistic by adding rust to the end of the pipes, because if you look at prototype pictures, there is a ring of rust on the ends of the pipes. So I'm going to use this paint from Vallejo, which is orange rust, and I'm going to apply it with this foam brush just here. So I'm going to dip it in the paint and just hit the ends of the pipes, and I think that'll come out pretty good. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so I painted up a couple of them here. As you can see, I think they came out pretty nice. I really do like that added touch of the rust. Now, I went ahead and blotted the front of it with the foam brush, and then I went ahead and used this brush to get the inside of the pipe. But after all, I really do think that there is a lot more realism to these pipe loads now. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that. So here's one of the pipe loads that I have not completed. So what I did was I just got a little bit of paint on the foam brush. It might be a little too much, so I'm going to blot a little bit away from it. And then I'm just going to hit the front of the pipe. And I don't want to put too much of it because I don't want it to collect at the end of the pipe. So just enough to get a little bit on the edge of the pipe. Now, theoretically, I would have liked the paint to be a little more uniform at the end of the pipe, but this is doing just fine. The ones in the middle aren't quite as important to get perfect as the ones on the end because you can't quite see them all too well. So as you can see, that's all I did was just blot the ends of them to make sure that I get good coverage, as you can see. So for the inside of the pipe, I'm just using a small brush like I said earlier. I'm just going to get the end of the brush wet there a bit with some of the paint. And then on the inside of the pipe, I'm just going to get the inside and just do a bit of paint. So don't put too much because you don't want it to start running and making a mess. So this is the part that's time consuming. I spent a good maybe 45 minutes getting the other two all fixed up because I want to make sure that there's good coverage on the pipes. So you want to get both sides. So when I'm done with the other side, I just want to get the brush in there and get the other portion of the pipe to make sure that it's properly painted. Because as you can see on these, they are well covered. Just the only portion that I didn't really take too much attention to is the top portion because you're really not going to see it with it on the car. So once I get all these done, we're going to install them on the cars and see how they look. Overall, I do believe that the rust-colored paint did provide a marginal improvement to these pipe loads. I believe that it created more depth and more realism to these pipe loads, and they look close to the prototypes that I referenced when I painted these. I still believe that I should have gotten a little bit of a more crisp edge to the rust on the pipe, although some prototype photos do show that the rust is a little uneven, so that's just fine. So I really do like the way these came out. I'm very happy with them. Let's go ahead and install them on the Flatcar. Like I did earlier with the transformers, I'm not going to glue them to the car just because if I want to change it out or do something different, I can. So I'm going to go ahead and use the 3M double-sided tape as I used earlier. I'm just going to cut small strips of the 3M tape. And please be careful if you're cutting tape the way I am. You're going to cut yourself if you're not careful. So just be very careful. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull these off. And I'm going to put them on the front pieces of wood. Just like so. We'll get that a little more over. And then I'm going to do this side as well. So I finally got the protective layer off the tape and it's ready to go. That was a pain in the butt. So these pipe loads are 60 scale feet long and the flat cars are 60 scale feet long as well. I think I could have benefited from 50-foot pipe loads, although I think it'll be okay. So what I'm going to try to do is make sure that I get these right in the middle and there's no overhang on either side. And I also want to make sure that that's right in the middle of the car. I don't want it off to one side or else it'll look kind of strange. I think I have it just about right there, front to back. Probably shift it forward just a bit. And I think that that's it. I think that that's where I want it. So I'm just going to push it down and there it is. There is the pipe load on the flat car. Now, you can kind of tell that you can see the tape underneath the wood board there. Although, you know, from far, when it's going to be on the track, it'll be just fine. But man, doesn't that look great on top of that flat car. Wow, I am very impressed by this flat car load. It just looks absolutely beautiful and amazing. So, like I said, go check out HO Scale Junction on eBay. You gotta pick up some of his products because these are amazing and they look good and they're a good price as well. He has a variety of different sizes and lengths and all that stuff. So if you need something in particular for a smaller flat car or something, he's got it. So go check him out. Let's go ahead and get these over to the layout and see what they look like. Alrighty guys, so that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed me installing those pipe loads on those flat cars and the transformers. I had a lot of fun building the transformers and making those pipe loads look a little more interesting. The pipe loads, if you guys are interested in those, you got to check out the guy on eBay. It is HO Scale Junction. He does a really good job on those pipe loads and they look pretty realistic in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, put it down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, lack of pre-orders have been coming in, and I have a few things under the layout that need to be, reviewed still. So there's still content to be made. I just don't have the time for it right now. But that's pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned for the future videos. That's it. Talk to you later. Take care and keep it to the rails.